closely followed by Sabine 27 and Dove Dad in a thrilling start to the race. Bobardo has made a solid move, advancing to 9p by overtaking Milgus 77. Bobardo advances to 8th place, surpassing Buxizero. Deplorably Bull climbs to 12th place, overtaking Laserlost from Team Vanguard. Amy moves up to 16th place, overtaking Sixer. Resultiadhar smoothly advances to 3rd place, overtaking Sidriq. Fanmaker from Team Quark Express makes a swift move to grab 5th position from Buxizero. However, Buxizero quickly counterattacks and regains 6th place from Sabine 27. Bobardo has advanced to 7th place, overtaking Sabine 27. Sabine 27 is now in 8th place after passing Milgus 77. Milgus 77 is up to 9th place after overtaking Luke Runs. Luke Runs is making moves, overtaking Bobardo for the 7th position in a heated battle. Deplorably Bull is also on the move, advancing to 12th place after overtaking Laserlost. Fanmaker is now in 3rd place after overtaking Buxizero. But Buxizero isn't backing down and has overtaken Resultiadhar, securing the 4th position. Meanwhile, Meyer and Schneekeistev are fiercely battling for the 14th spot, with Meyer driving a Citroën GT and Schneekeistev in a Ferrari LaFerrari. Adam GT3 advances to 11th place, passing Laserlost. Unknowns rises to 21st place, overtaking Jassax 72. Palocaster 09 climbs to 26th place, overtaking Electric Mary. Sixer is struggling, dropping a significant 17 places to 37p. Meanwhile, Sidriq has advanced to 5p, overtaking Buxizero. Adam GT3 and Laserlost are engaged in a battle for 11p. Arbut 1 has moved up to 22p, overtaking Jassax 72. Palocaster 09 has moved up to 26p, overtaking Sarayan Bot. Lacroix 1980 has moved up to 28p, overtaking Wayne Train 94. Sabine 27 has advanced to 8p, passing Luke Runs. The duel for 8p is on between Sabine 27 in an Aston Martin Vulcan and Luke Runs in a Bugatti Veyron. Schneekeistev and Meyer are locked in competition for 14p, with Schneekeistev in a Ferrari LaFerrari and Meyer in a Citroën GT. Meyer has advanced to 15p, passing MYST 1 for 9. Hugged 03 in the Ferrari LaFerrari and Unknowns in the Zinvo TSRS are in a close battle for 19p. Schneekeistev makes a move up to 14p, overtaking Meyer. Unknown's advances to 18p, overtaking Hugged 03. Hugged 03 gains ground to 19p, surpassing Romans. Amy has dropped back to 32nd position. Electric Mary has made a move up to 25th, overtaking Lacroix 1980. In turn, Lacroix 1980 has also advanced to 26th, overtaking Sarayan Bot. FanMaker makes a strong move to claim 4p from Buck's Row. Meanwhile, MYST149 jumps to 15p, overtaking Meyer. Romans and Arbit 1 are locked in a battle for 20p, with Romans in a Bugatti Veyron and Arbit 1 in an Aston Martin Vulcan. Sabine 27 makes a move, now in 7p after overtaking Bobardo. Schnickative advances to 12p, overtaking Deplorable Apple. A heated battle for 14p ensues between Laserlost in a McLaren 1p and Meyer in a Citroën GT. Jessax 72 drops to position 33. Duff Dad from Team Cot takes the lead, surpassing Eric 81 DMC. Sabine 27 advances to position 6, overtaking Cedric. Unknown Cipher drops to 27p, Amy closes in on Jessax 72 by 484.5, and Luke Runs overtakes Bobardo for 8p. Jessax 72 is rapidly catching up to Phobos 1701, reducing the gap by 5.2 seconds. Bobardo has advanced to 8p, surpassing Noga 77. Noga 77 has progressed to 9p, overtaking Adam GT3. Luke Runs is struggling, dropping back 9 positions to 22nd place. Laserlost has made a move up to 13th, overtaking MYST149. In turn, MYST149 has moved up to 14th, overtaking Unknown Knowns. Newcambakken is making a strong charge, narrowing the gap to Super Lacroix by 45.4. Meanwhile, Resulti Adhar has advanced to 3p, surpassing FanMaker. And Adam GT3 has climbed to 9p, overtaking Schneekeisktiv. Phobos 1701 is making some impressive gains, reducing the gap to Sputnik NZ by 21.4 units. Amy is also on the move, closing in on Newcambakken by 48.9 units. Additionally, MYST149 has made a strong move up to 13th place, overtaking Meyer in the process. Resulti Adhar has moved up to 2p, overtaking Eric 81 DMC. Laserlost and MYST149 are in a battle for 12p. Palocaster 09 has moved up to 17p, overtaking Electric Mary. Cedric in the McLaren 1p is in a tight tussle with Sabine 27 in the Aston Martin Vulcan for 6th place. Noga 77 advances to 22nd, overtaking Unknown Cipher. In a swift move, Unknown Cipher climbs to 23rd, bypassing Meyer. Cedric has made a move and is now in 6th place, leaving Sabine 27 behind. A fierce battle is happening between Sabine 27 and Bo Bardo for 7th place. Meanwhile, Unknown's Knowns has climbed to 13th place, surpassing Les Lost. Sabine 27 is struggling and has dropped to 15th place. Duvdad and Rizaldi Adhar are fiercely competing for the top spot. Meanwhile, Bo Bardo from Team Blast has made a significant move, climbing up to 7th place after overtaking Adam GT3. Unknown's Knowns climbs to 11th, passing MYST 149. Albert 1 advances to 15th, overtaking Paulocaster 09. Paulocaster 09 gains 16th place, surpassing Electric Mary. Cedric is narrowing in on Buckseyes Row, cutting the gap by 2.8. Street 4 NBZH has advanced to 19p, overtaking Nulgus 77. Nulgus 77 has moved up to 20p, overtaking Luke Runs. Meyer is making a swift move, narrowing the gap to Amy by 83.0. Hugged 03 has advanced to 23p, overtaking Farah 023. Farah 023, in turn, moved up to 24p, surpassing Sabine 27. Adam GT3 has moved up to 7p, overtaking Deplorable Apple. Deplorable Apple has moved up to 8p, overtaking Bo Bardo. Schnickative and Unknown Knowns are in a battle for 10p. Schnickative is driving a Ferrari LaFerrari, and Unknown Knowns is driving a Zinvo TSRS. FanMaker makes a strong move into 3p, passing Eric 81 DMC. Meanwhile, Unknown's Knowns climbs to 9p, overtaking Bo Bardo. The battle for 9p heats up as Unknown's Knowns in a Zinvo TSRS challenges Bo Bardo in a McLaren 1p. FanMaker has advanced to 2p, passing Rizaldi Adhar. Deplorableeple has climbed to 8p, overtaking Bo Bardo. Bo Bardo and Unknown's Knowns are currently contesting the 9th position, with Bo Bardo in a McLaren 1p and Unknown's Knowns in a Zinvo TSRS. The race is heating up as FanMaker from Team Navgum Kings takes the lead, followed closely by Duvdad and Rizaldi Adhar in 2nd and 3rd place respectively. It's anyone's race at this point. Super Lacroix and Nukenbokum are going head-to-head for the 27th position in their Ferrari 812 Superfast and Saleen S7 Twin-Turbo respectively. It's a tight race between these two competitors. Hugged 03 is making gains on Unknown Cipher, narrowing the gap by 2.5. Meanwhile, Nukenbokum has advanced to 27p, overtaking Super Lacroix. Hugged 03 is up to 22p, passing Unknown Cipher. Sputnik NZ is now in 27p, overtaking Super Lacroix. Super Lacroix moves to 28p, passing Phobos 1701. Unknown's Knowns advances to 8th, passing Deplorableeple. Farah 023 rises to 23rd, overtaking Unknown Cipher. Ferra023 is making gains on Hugged 03, narrowing the gap by 3.6. Sarayanbot advances to 24p, overtaking Keenan Cipher. Amy moves up to 28p, overtaking Phobos 1701. Hugged 03 advances to 21p, overtaking Luke Runs. Ferra023 gains on Luke Runs, reducing the gap by 2.6. Sputnik NZ jumps to 25p, overtaking Keenan Cipher. Deplorableeple is now in 8p, overtaking Unknowns. Sarayanbot has advanced to 23p, surpassing Luke Runs. Amy from Team Death Robots has climbed to 26p, overtaking Phobos 1701. Buxizero has overtaken Eric 81 DMC, securing 4th position. Meanwhile, Bobardo has advanced to 9th place after overtaking Unknowns. The battle continues between Bobardo in a McLaren 1P and Unknowns in a Zenvo TSRS for the 9th spot. Meyer is making a strong move, closing the gap to Newcambocken by 8.5. Luke Runs is climbing the ranks, now at 23p, overtaking Sarayanbot. Amy is also making progress, now at 25p after overtaking Sputnik NZ. Amy is making a strong move, narrowing the gap to Sarayanbot by 41.7. Meanwhile, Buxizero from Team Quark Express has surged to 3p, overtaking Wizaldiadhar. Also, Luke Runs has advanced to 21p by overtaking Hugged 03. Ferra023 is under pressure as Sarayanbot is closing in, narrowing the gap by 53.1. Watch out for Meyer, who's reducing the distance to Sputnik NZ by 4.4. Luke is getting closer to Noga 77, reducing the gap by 47.1. Meanwhile, Ferra023 is catching up to Hugged 03, closing the gap by 9.8. Also, Wizaldiadhar has made a move to 3rd place, overtaking Buxizero. Buxizero has taken the 2nd position from Dovdad. Unknowns is catching up to Adam GT3 with a 3.6 second gap. ST4NBZH is closing in on Lacroix 1980, reducing the gap by 4.6 seconds. Newcambocken is now at 28p, overtaking Sputnik NZ. Meanwhile, Sputnik NZ has moved up to 29p, overtaking Sarayanbot. Dovdad and Buxizero are neck and neck for 2p, with Dovdad in the McLaren 1p and Buxizero in the Ferrari LaFerrari. Cedric is making moves, closing in on Eric 81 DMC by 3.4. Meanwhile, it's a tight battle for 11p between Schnickative in a Ferrari LaFerrari and NYST149 in a McLaren 1p. Dovdad makes a strong move to 2p, passing Buxizero. Romans is gaining on Albert 1, closing the gap by 3.2 seconds. Super Lacroix advances to 26p, overtaking Phobos 1701. Sixer is making a strong move, rapidly closing the gap on Gary 710 by 970.2 units. Unknown's Knowns has climbed to 7p, overtaking Adam GT3. Deplorably Bull is also gaining ground on Adam GT3, reducing the gap by 4.5 units. Laserlost is now in 11th place, passing Schneekheist Tief. MYST 149 and Albert 1 are fighting for 13th place, with MYST 149 in a McLaren 1P and Albert 1 in an Aston Martin Vulcan. Super Lacroix has advanced to 26th place, overtaking Phobos 1701. Gary 710 is gaining ground on Neo Texan, closing the gap by 367.9. Adam GT3 and Deplorably Bull are in a heated battle for 8p. Albert 1 has advanced to 12p, overtaking Schneekheist Tief. Newcambachen moves up to 26p, overtaking Sputnik NZ from Team for 20. Now, Sputnik NZ moves up to 27p, overtaking Super Lacroix. Meyer has advanced to 28p, surpassing Sarayan Bot. Sarayan Bot from Team Death Robots is now at 29p, overtaking Super Lacroix. Adam GT3 successfully moved up to 8p, overtaking Deplorably Bull. The two are now locked in a battle for the 8th position. Meanwhile, Albert 1 and Schneekheist Tief from Team Vanguard are contending for the 12th spot in an intense race. Deplorably Bull has advanced to 8p, passing Adam GT3. Albert 1 and MYST 149 are contending for 13p, with Albert 1 in an Aston Martin Vulcan and MYST 149 in a McLaren 1p. Sputnik NZ has climbed to 26p, overtaking Meyer. Romans is really making a move, closing in on Albert 1 by 5.2. Eric 81 DMC has made a strong push to 4p, overtaking Rizaldi Adhar. Meanwhile, Unknown's Knowns has climbed to 7p, passing Deplorably Bull. Rizaldi Adhar has slipped back to 13th place after some trouble. Hugged 03 is making gains on Luke runs, closing the gap by 5.1. Meanwhile, Unknown's Knowns has moved up to 6th position, overtaking Deplorably Bull. Palocaster 09 has impressively closed the gap on Rizaldi Adhar by 48.2 units. Jasax 72 is also making a significant move, reducing the distance to Neo Texan by 394.5 units. And in an exciting development, Buxizero in a Ferrari LaFerrari and Eric 81 DMC in a McLaren 1P are currently locked in a fierce battle for 3rd place. Buxizero has overtaken Eric 81 DMC, securing the 3rd position. Meanwhile, Cedric is closing in on Eric 81 DMC, reducing the gap by 2.7 seconds. Additionally, Deplorably Bull has moved up to 7th place after overtaking Adam GT3. Unknown's Knowns has secured the 5th position after overtaking Deplorably Bull. Not to be outdone, Deplorably Bull has fought back, overtaking Cedric to claim the 6th position. This sets up an exciting battle between Deplorableeple in a Ferrari LaFerrari and Cedric in a McLaren 1P for the 6th spot. Cedric has dropped to 15p, Meyer is gaining on Hugged 03 by 50.0, and MYST1 for 9 overtook Bobardo for 8p. Romans has advanced to 12th place, surpassing Arbit 1. Noga77 is making strides toward ST4NBZH, reducing the gap by 2.9 seconds. Lacroix 1980 is making a swift move, closing in on Cedric by 60.1 units. Bucksizero from Team Quark Express is gaining ground on Duff Dad, reducing the gap by 3.4 units. Impressive maneuver from Deplorableeple, now in 5p after overtaking Adam GT3. Eric 81 DMC drops to 16p, Duff Dad takes 1p from Bucksizero, who now holds 2p after overtaking Fafamaker. Cedric is closing in on Eric 81 DMC, narrowing the gap by 56.5 units. Bucksizero is also making gains on Duff Dad, reducing the gap by 2.3 units. Deplorableeple has advanced to 4p after overtaking Adam GT3. Ferra023 is gaining on Logos77, reducing the gap by 47.7 units. MYST1 for 9 has advanced to 6p, overtaking Fafamaker from Team Nafgum Kings. Schnurkeisktiv is closing in on Fafamaker, shortening the gap by 2.0. Bucksizero is making gains on Duff Dad, decreasing the gap by 2.3. Fafamaker has advanced to 6p, surpassing MYST1 for 9. A tight tussle for 6p between Fafamaker in a Ferrari LaFerrari and MYST1 for 9 in a McLaren 1P is underway. Gary710 is making a strong move, closing in on Sixer by 784.3 units. Phobos 1701 is gaining ground on Meyer, reducing the gap by 2.8. Meanwhile, Newcombotham has advanced to 29p, overtaking Sir Iron Bot. Unknowns Knowns is closing in on Bucksizero, reducing the gap by 2.3. Super Lacroix has made a significant move to 27p, overtaking Phobos 1701. Romans has claimed the 10th position by overtaking Laserlost. Newcombotham has jumped to 28th place after passing Phobos 1701. Arbit 1 has advanced to position 11, overtaking Rizaldi Adhar. Meanwhile, Rizaldi Adhar has also progressed to position 12, surpassing Electric Mary. Electric Mary has now moved up to position 13, overtaking Eric 81 DMC. ST4NBZH is gaining on Paulo Custer 09, narrowing the gap by 8.3. Luke Rungs is gaining on Amy, closing the gap by 5.6. Newcombotham is gaining on Super Lacroix, closing the gap by 5.7. ST4NBZH is making up serious ground, closing the gap to Paulocaster 09 by 47.2. Amy is also on the move, closing in on Lacroix 1980 by 53.4. And Sputnik NZ is gaining on Super Lacroix, closing the gap by 8.0. Jazak 72 is making a huge move, closing in on Sixer by 1,343.6 units. Meanwhile, FIFAmaker has surged to 5p by overtaking Unknown Knowns. And we've got MYST 1 for 9 and Bo Bardo locked in a heated battle for 8p. Arbert 1 is making a significant move, closing the gap by 46.3. Sputnik NZ from Team for 20 is also gaining ground, reducing the gap by 5.9 to Mukembakum. Adam GT3 has made a strong move, advancing to 3p by overtaking Deplorableeple from Team COD. Sabine 27 from Team Blast is rapidly closing in on Super Lacroix, reducing the gap by a whopping 95.8. Unknown Knowns is also making gains, closing in on Romans with a gap reduction of 3.8. Meanwhile, the unknown Cipher is steadily catching up to Amy, narrowing the gap by 2.8. Romans is now in 15th place after dropping back 6 positions. Super Lacroix of Team Dev Robots is gaining on Mukembakum, reducing the gap by 41.8. FIFAmaker is closing in on Adam GT3, reducing the gap by 4.4. Laserlost is closing the gap to Romans by 42.3. Arbert 1 has advanced to 11p, passing Electric Mary from Team Quark Express. Electric Mary has moved up to 12p, overtaking Eric 81 DMC. Paulocaster 09 from Team Blue Star is making gains on Romans, narrowing the gap by 41.2 units. Sorianbot from Team Death Robots is also catching up to Farah 023 from Team Blue Star, reducing the gap by 26.4 units. Meanwhile, Eric 81 DMC has advanced to 12p, overtaking Electric Mary. Meyer is making a strong move, closing the gap to Hugged 03 by 7.2. Sorianbot is on the hunt, closing in on Farah 023 by 47.5. FIFAmaker is steadily gaining on Bucksizero, narrowing the gap by 2.3. Unknown Knowns is narrowing the gap to Bobardo by 5.8. Laserlost is closing in on Electric Mary, reducing the gap by 6.7. FIFAmaker is reducing the gap to Bucksizero by 2.3. Phobos 1701 is making a strong move, closing in on Hugged 03 by 76.0 units. Meanwhile, Super Lacroix is narrowing the gap behind Sputnik NZ by 48.4 units. The battle for 11th place is heating up between Arbert 1 in an Aston Martin Vulcan and Eric 81 DMC in a McLaren 1P. Hypercars is swiftly closing in on FanMaker, reducing the gap by 5.1. Meanwhile, Adam GT3 is making gains on unknowns, closing the gap by 2.6. Romance advances to position 15, overtaking Paulocaster 09. Paulocaster 09 then regains position, overtaking Arbit 1. Meyer from Team Death Robots is closing in on Human Cipher, reducing the gap by 4.7 seconds. Free cars off-road. That's a tough break, let's see if they can recover from that. Sirdreek has advanced to 11th place, surpassing Laserlost. Laserlost has gained ground, moving up to 12th place, overtaking Electric Mary. Lacroix 1980 has climbed to 17th place, overtaking Arbit 1. Sputnik NZ is quickly reeling in Phobos 1701, closing the gap by 47.0. Paulocaster 09 has moved up to 14p, overtaking Electric Mary. Sputnik NZ is reeling in Phobos 1701, closing the gap by 47.0. Sixer is making a strong push, closing the gap to Neo Texan by 244.0. Unknowns has moved up to 6th place, passing Adam GT3. Adam GT3 has also made progress, now in 7th place after overtaking Deplorableeple. Sabine 27 is gaining on Surian Bot, closing the gap by 6.2 seconds. Buxizero is closing in on Dovdad, reducing the gap by 2.4 seconds. Laserlost has overtaken Bobardo, moving up to 11th place. Kudos to Farah 0234 climbing to 22p after overtaking Arbit 1. Surian Bot is making an impressive move, closing the gap by 4.5 seconds behind Phobos 1701. Buxizero takes the lead from Dovdad of Team COD. Deplorableeple is closing in on Adam GT3, reducing the gap by 2.1. Meyer overtakes Luke Runs and moves up to 18p. Hypercars is now in 3rd place, overtaking Dovdad. Super Lacroix has advanced to 30th place after passing Surian Bot. Surian Bot up to 28p after overtaking 4 cars. MYST149 now at 4p, passing Dovdad. Bobardo closing in on Laserlost, reducing the gap by 2.1 seconds. Arbit 1 is making a strong push, closing in on Eric 81 DMC by 193.9. FanMaker has surged to 1st place, overtaking Buxizero. Meanwhile, Unknowns has climbed to 5th position, passing Adam GT3. Newcamp is feeling the heat as Surian Bot narrows the gap by 489.3. Hypercars is now in 2p after overtaking MYST149, who has moved up to 3p by passing Buxizero. Adam GT3 is making significant progress, reducing the gap to Buxizero by 5.7. Unknowns Knowns has climbed to 4p, successfully overtaking Bucksize Row. Additionally, Adam GT3 continues to close in on Bucksize Row, narrowing the gap by 5.7. Rizaldi Adhar and Sidriq are battling for 8p. Lacroix 1980 has moved up to 14p, overtaking Duff Dad. Hugged 03 has moved up to 21p, overtaking Luke Runs. Sidriq has moved up to 8p, overtaking Rizaldi Adhar. Amy has moved up to 15p, overtaking Duff Dad. Noga 77 has moved up to 19p, overtaking Farah 023. Unknowns Knowns secures the third position, passing Bucksize Row. Bucksize Row responds by taking over the fourth spot from Adam GT3. Meanwhile, Adam GT3 confidently moves into 5th place, surpassing Deplorably. Arbert 1 is on the move, closing in on ST4NBZH by a whopping 355.6. Meanwhile, Laserlost is making moves, climbing to 9p by overtaking MYST149. Additionally, Bobardo is closing in on MYST149, reducing the gap by 4.6. Luke is making a strong move, narrowing the gap to Farah 023 by 48.3. Meanwhile, Unknowns Knowns is closing in on Schneekeisktiv by 2.4, and Laserlost is reeling in Rizaldi Adhar by 2.1. Noted. Hugged 03 now at 19p, overtaking Duff Dad. Super Lacroix from Team Death Robots has moved up to 24p, overtaking Phobos 1701. Unknowns Knowns has advanced to 2p, surpassing Schneekeisktiv. Both drivers are contending for the second position. They are driving as Envo TSRS and a Ferrari LaFerrari, respectively. Meanwhile, Sidriq and Rizaldi Adhar are in a tight contest for 7p. Nukanbakum making a strong move, closing the gap on Sputnik NZ by 30.5. Laserlost climbing to 7p, overtaking MYST149. MYST149 now at 8p after passing Schneekeisktiv. Rizaldi Adhar has advanced to 5p, surpassing Sidriq. Bobardo has climbed to 10p, overtaking Romance. Romance has moved up to 11p, overtaking Bucksize Row. Sarayanbot is making a strong move, closing in on Sputnik NZ from Team for 20 by 39.5 units. Meanwhile, Meyer is also gaining ground on Amy, reducing the gap by 4.9 units. Additionally, Sarayanbot is continuing to close the gap on Sputnik NZ, now by 39.5 units. Super Lacroix has narrowed the gap to Sabine 27 by 5.8. Sidriq has advanced to 5p, passing Rizaldi Adhar. Sidriq and Rizaldi Adhar are in a tussle for 5p. ST4NBZH is making a blazing pursuit, reducing the gap to Eric 81 DMC by 450.0. Resultiadhar has made a strong move to take 5p from Sidriq. Train 94 is gaining ground, now at 29p after overtaking Electric Mary. Nulka 77 has advanced to 17p, surpassing Meyer from Team Death Robots. Meanwhile, Sarayanbot has climbed to 27p, overtaking Duff Dad. Unknowns is closing in on Fafamaker, reducing the gap by 2.0 seconds. Similarly, Romans is closing in on Bobardo from Team Blast, narrowing the gap by 2.3 seconds. Adam GT3 in the McLaren 1P is fighting deplorably in the Ferrari LaFerrari for third place. Meanwhile, Laserlost is making gains on Sidriq, narrowing the gap by 2.6 seconds. ST4NBZH is making a strong move, closing the gap to Eric 81 DMC by 546.8. Unknowns is also gaining ground, closing in on Fafamaker by 2.0. Additionally, Luke Runs is narrowing the gap to Ferrer 023 by 3.0. The gap between Unknowns and Fafamaker is now down to 2.7. Train 94 is making a move, closing in on Duff Dad, reducing the gap by 2.5 seconds. Eric 81 DMC has made a significant move, closing the gap on Electric Mary from Team Quark Express by 44.8. MYST149 is now just 2.9 seconds behind Laserlost from Team Vanguard. Resultiadhar from Team Cars has secured the 4th position, surpassing deplorable Apple of Team COD. Meanwhile, a compelling duel for the 11th spot is unfolding between Roman FS in a Bugatti Veyron and Buck Cicero in a Ferrari LaFerrari. Nulka 77 is making a strong push, narrowing the gap to Amy by 531.9 units. Meanwhile, Resultiadhar and Sidriq are locked in a tight battle for 5p. We'll see how these dynamics play out as the race progresses. Electric Mary is pushing hard, narrowing the gap to Duff Dad by 2.1 seconds. Duff Dad from Team COD is making a strong move, reducing the gap to Train 94 by 15.5. Ferrer 023 is making a strong move, reducing the gap to Hugt 03 by 39.8 units. Meanwhile, Amy is gaining ground on Thuman Cipher, closing in by 2.0 units. It's a tight battle as the race continues. Noga77 is making a massive move, closing the gap on Amy by 537.5 units. Meanwhile, Sabine27 has overtaken Farah023 and moved up to 21st place. Deplorableeple is now in 4th place after overtaking Cedric, who's moved up to 5th by passing Laserlost. Laserlost, in turn, has moved up to 6th, overtaking Wizaldiadhar. Bobardo is making a strong move, closing in on Wizaldiadhar by 7.2. Phobos 1701 is also gaining ground, closing the gap on Farah023 by 42.8. And MYST149 has just overtaken Wizaldiadhar, moving up to 8th place. Palocaster09 is making a strong push, narrowing the gap to Wizaldiadhar by 5.7. MYST149 has climbed to 7p, passing Schnekeistev. Romance has advanced to 11p, overtaking Wizaldiadhar. Noga77 is making a big move, closing in on Amy by a whopping 537.8 units. Meanwhile, Unknown's Gnomes is also gaining ground on FanMaker, reducing the gap by 2.8 units. And once again, Noga77 is closing in on Amy, this time by 537.8 units. Super Lacroix from Team Death Robots has moved up to 21p, overtaking Farah023. Farah023 has moved up to 22p, overtaking Sabine27 from Team Blast. Cedric is now in 4th place after overtaking Deplorableeple. Noga77 is quickly closing in on Amy, reducing the gap by 41.3. Nukanbakum advances to 24p, overtaking Sabine27. Cedric has advanced to 3p, passing Adam GT3. Amy is in hot pursuit of the unknown cipher, reducing the gap by 2.5 seconds. Sabine27 has been overtaken by Sarayanbot, who is now in 26p. Cedric has now taken the 4th position by overtaking Deplorableeple. Wizaldiadhar is making gains on Romance, closing the gap by 2.2 seconds. Deplorableeple from Team COD has made a strong move into 4p, overtaking Cedric. Deplorableeple now just 2.2 seconds behind Adam GT3. Deplorableeple and Cedric are neck and neck for 4P, both driving top-tier supercars. Meanwhile, Schneekeistev has made a strong move to secure 7P, passing MYST 149 in the process. MYST 149 is making some bold moves, overtaking 6 cars to secure the 3rd position. Meanwhile, Ferro023 is on fire, closing the gap by 8.9 seconds on Super Lacroix. And just like that, MYST 149 strikes again, overtaking Adam GT3 to solidify their position in 3rd place. Adam GT3 is cutting the distance to unknown knowns by 3.1. Bobardo is also tightening the space to Schneekeistev, reducing it by 3.5. Buxizro is making moves, climbing to 9P, overtaking Roman FS. Nukenbakum of Team Death Robots is making a move, closing in on Ferro023 by 4.2 seconds. Meanwhile, Sixer has advanced to 32P, overtaking Arbit 1. Cedric has taken the 4th position from Deplorableeple. Palocaster09 is making gains on Resuldiatar, reducing the gap by 2.0 seconds. Eric 81DMC is narrowing in on Dovdad, closing the gap by 572.0. Sixer is also closing in on Eric 81DMC, reducing the gap by 726.4. Bobardo has made a move up to 7P, overtaking Schneekeistev. Cedric is now in 3rd place after overtaking Adam GT3. Lacroix 1980 and MYST 149 are locked in a battle for 13th place, with Lacroix 1980 in a Ferrari F12 TDF and MYST 149 in a McLaren 1P. Bobardo has made a solid move up to 6th place, passing Laserlost. Sputnik NZ is making gains on Phobos 1701, closing in by 2.2. Electric Mary of Team Quark Express has overtaken Sabine 27, now holding 28th position. Schneekeistev advances to 7th place, passing Laserlost. Palocaster09 is closing in on Resuldiatar, reducing the gap by 3.5 seconds. Schneekeistev has overtaken Bobardo, moving up to 6P. Both drivers are in a fierce battle for position. Schneekeistev of Team Vanguard is in a tight tussle with Bobardo for the 6th position. Schneekeistev is behind the wheel of a Ferrari LaFerrari, while Bobardo pilots a McLaren 1P. Sputnik NZ has made a move up to 24th place, successfully overtaking Phobos 1701. Buxizro is reeling in Laserlost, closing the gap by 3.6. Noga 77 is reeling in Amy, closing the gap by 3.3. Super Lacroix is reeling in Luke Runs, closing the gap by 2.8. Luke Runs has reduced the gap to Hub 03 by 5.1 units. Amy is closing in on Human Cipher, reducing the gap by 2.1 units. Luke Runs continues to close in on Hub 03, now just 5.1 units behind. Electric Mary is on the move, cutting Wayne Train 94's lead by 537.0. Sixer is also making gains, closing in on Duff Dad by 795.6. Meanwhile, Moga 77 is closing in on Amy from Team Death Robots, narrowing the gap by 2.2. Cedric is making a strong move, closing the gap on Unknowns by 37.9 units. Meanwhile, Bobardo has surged to 5th place, successfully passing Schneekeisk from Team Vanguard. Electric Mary is making a strong move on Wayne Train 94, reducing the gap by 533.7. Cedric has taken over 2P from Unknowns. Meanwhile, Adam GT3 and Schneekeisk are locked in a battle for 4P, with a McLaren 1P against a Ferrari LaFerrari. Hub 03 has made a move, advancing to 18P by overtaking Mogus 77. Rest assured, Hub 03 is gaining ground on Meyer with a remarkable 567.6 reduction in the gap. Wayne Train 94 is also charging forward, closing in by 352.0 on Phobos 1701. And it looks like Cedric from Team COD is closing in on FanMaker by 2.7. Adam GT3 and Bobardo are in a tight battle for 5th position. Rizaldi Adhar has made a move up to 10th, passing Romans. Rizaldi Adhar, in a McLaren 1P, and Romans, in a Bugatti Veyron, are now fighting for the 10th spot. Palocaster 09 is making a strong move, reducing the gap to Romans by 5.5 units. Super Lacroix from Team Death Robots is swiftly closing in on Mogus 77, shortening the gap by 582.3 units. Cedric and Unknowns are fiercely battling for 2P, with Cedric in a McLaren 1P and Unknowns in a Zinvo TSRS. Adam GT3 secures the 5th position, overtaking Bobardo. Wayne Train 94 advances to 26th place, overtaking Phobos 1701. Saint 4 NBZH climbs to 30th place, overtaking Duff Dad. Schneekeisk has now taken 4P, passing Adam GT3 in a tight battle. Both drivers are in high-performance supercars, Schneekeisk in a Ferrari LaFerrari, and Adam GT3 in a McLaren 1P. Electric Mary has advanced to 27P, successfully overtaking Phobos 1701. Schneekeisk from Team Vanguard is currently battling with Bobardo for the 5th position. Schneekeisk is behind the wheel of a Ferrari LaFerrari, while Bobardo is piloting a McLaren 1P.